Hello everyone, today in this video we are going to study the second story of third chapter of class 10th, that is the Black Aeroplane, written by Frederick Forsyth. In this story there is a pilot who is flying back to England, back to his home. But up there in the sky, he was caught in a storm in the black cloud. He lost his connection, he lost his compass, he lost his radios. Even there was very few fuel left in his fuel tank. So he was left in destitute, and there was no chance of him to land safely. But suddenly a helping hand appeared in that black cloud, a black aeroplane. Suddenly in that storm, in that totally black cloud, he found a black aeroplane. And that black aeroplane helped him, guided him to land safely in England. But when he landed, he went to ask about the another aeroplane which was flying up there in the sky in that storm. He went to ask about that, but what happened? In the control room, he come to know that his plane was the only plane which was flying up there in the sky in this storm. No other plane was flying there in the sky. So he was left surprised that the black plane which saved his life, which guided him to land safely, he started thinking and pondering then what it was if no other plane was flying up there in the sky. Let's see how he witnessed his journey, how he experienced that journey which may would have taken his life. The moon was coming up in the east behind me, and stars were shining in the clear sky above me. There wasn't a cloud in the sky. I was happy to be alone high up above the sleeping countryside. I was flying my old Dakota aeroplane over France back to England. I was dreaming of my holiday and looking forward to being with my family. I looked at my watch, 1:30 in the morning. So, here in the story, we have a pilot who had been to France for holiday, and now he is returning back to England. He is in his old aeroplane, that is Dakota. The sky was quite clear. He was in France right now, and he was flying from France to England. The sky was quite clear. It was stars everywhere shining in clean and clear sky above me. He says that the sky was quite clear. There was no sign of cloud, no sign of rain, no sign of storm was there. So he was flying all alone. He was quite happy because after a long time he was going to join his family. He was lost in his thought. He was thinking about the holiday which he has enjoyed right now, and again he was thinking about his family to whom he is going to meet when he will land in England. He watched the time and it was 1:30 in the morning. So it was 1:30 and he was flying his old Dakota from France to England. He was on a holiday to France and now he was returning back to his family who were in England. I should call Paris control soon, I thought. As I looked down past the nose of the aeroplane, I saw the lights of big city in front of me. I switched on the radio and said, Paris control, Dakota DS-088 here. Can you hear me? I am on my way to England. Over. The voice from the radio answered me immediately. DS-088. I can hear you. You ought to turn 12° west now. DS-088. Over. So from the nose of the aeroplane, that is the area from where they can look, that is the narrow area, which is the streamline area which is at the beginning of the aeroplane, the front area of the aeroplane. From there he could see that there was light. He saw lights all around there down from the plane, and it was a signal, it was a sign that some big city was approaching him. And so he thought definitely it is going to be Paris. So he thought that now he should speak to the control room of Paris. So he contacted to Paris control room, and then he got a response from Paris control room also, and he was instructed to take 12° west now. So with the help of radar, he was getting information from the control room. The pilot used to get instruction about the direction. So he got the direction that he has to now. He was approaching Paris, and now in order to go to England, he will have to take 12° west in order to reach England. I checked the map and the compass, switched over to my second and last fuel tank, and turned the Dakota 12° west toward England. I will be in time for breakfast, I thought. A good big English breakfast. Everything was going well. It was an easy flight. So he was enjoying his flight. He was enjoying his flight, his journey. And as per the instruction, he turned 12° west toward England as per the instruction given by Paris control room, and he switched on his second fuel tank, second and the last fuel tank. So he was enjoying his flight, his journey, and he was imagining about tomorrow, that tomorrow he will be landing in England by the time of breakfast, and he was lost in the thought of, he was tempted by the thought of the good breakfast which was waiting for him in England at his home. Paris was about 150 km behind me when I saw the clouds, storm cloud. They were huge. They looked like black mountains standing in front of me across the sky. I knew I could not fly up and over them, and I did not have enough fuel to fly around them to the north or south. So now what happened in the earlier paragraph, we have already seen that he was left with the last fuel tank, second and the last fuel tank. He has switched on his second and last fuel tank. Now when he was ahead 150 km from Paris, then suddenly he saw that there was cloud all around, and not only cloud, it was a stormy cloud, and it was very huge. He could see only clouds everywhere like a black mountains. So he has compared here the clouds with a mountain standing in front of me. He says that the cloud was so huge that it appears to be a mountain standing in front of him. Now he could change the path, but again there was a problem standing in front of him, that he was left with only last fuel tank. So he could not lengthen his journey. He can't change the path. If he will change the path, if he will go for another path, if he will change the direction either to north or to south, then he will be out of fuel and again he will be in danger. In the starting of the in the starting of the chapter, it was given that the sky was quite clear. It was starry, but suddenly the climate changed, and as a result, it was stormy, it was cloudy, and the cloud was so huge that it appeared to be a mountain in front of him. So now let's see whether he was able to cross it or not. I ought to go back to Paris, I thought, but I wanted to go home. I wanted that breakfast. I will take the risk, I thought, and flew that old Dakota straight into the storm. So at that moment, once it came to his mind that he should return back, he should return to Paris, because he was only 150 kilometers ahead of Paris, and therefore he thought it may be better to return back to Paris. But again it came to his mind, he grew nostalgic about the thought of that breakfast which was waiting for him in England. And therefore he thought that definitely he have to reach his home, he can't return back to Paris. So he grew nostalgic and he thought that he will take the risk, and that's why what he did, that he flew into that storm. He flew his old Dakota straight into the storm. So he was ready to take risk, and instead of returning back to Paris, he thought to get ahead, to enter into that stormy, into that mountain-like cloud. Inside the cloud, everything was suddenly black. It was impossible to see anything outside the aeroplane. The old aeroplane jumped and twisted in the air. I looked at the compass. I could not believe my eyes. The compass was turning round and round and round. It was dead. It would not work. The other instruments were suddenly dead too. I tried the radio. So now what happened? When he entered into the cloud, when he entered into this mounting dark cloud, he was not able to see anything. It was dark all around. It was only cloud and cloud, dark cloud, nothing else. And to his surprise, then what happened? To make the situation worse, even when he looked at his compass, he saw that even his compass was dead. It was just rotating round and round, and it was not working. And other instruments as well, other instruments which the pilot used to communicate to the traffic control room, even that were not working. So now he tried his radio. Let's see whether he was lucky or not. Paris control, can you hear me? There was no answer. The radio was dead too. I had no radio, no compass. I could not see where I was. I was lost in the storm. Then in the black clouds quite near me, I saw another aeroplane. It had no lights on its wing, but I could see it flying next to me through the storm. I could see the pilot's face turned toward me. I was very glad to see another person. He lifted one hand and waved, "Follow me." He was saying, "Follow me." So, he was not able to control Paris control room. He tried to contact, but there was no response, as his radio was dead as well, even it was not working. So now he was left with no instrument. There was no radio, there was no compass, and no other instruments were working. So now he was in totally trouble. Then suddenly he saw that there was another aeroplane, and that aeroplane had no lights on its wings. Generally all aeroplane have lights on its wings, but here he saw that a aeroplane which was flying next to him, he saw that a plane was flying in that cloud, but what was spectacular about that plane is that plane don't have any lights on its wing. But he could see the face of pilot who was sitting there in that plane, and he saw that the pilot of that plane waved. It means he signed, he made some signal. He made some signal with his hand, and in a sign language he asked him to follow him. So he thought that he found another helping hand in that storm, in that black storm, in the black cloud. He was lost in the black cloud. He had no instrument. None of the instruments were working at that time. At the time of that crisis, he saw another black aeroplane flying in the cloud, and the pilot of that plane asked him to follow him. He knows that I am lost. I thought he is trying to help me. He turned his aeroplane slowly to the north in front of my Dakota so that it would be easier for me to follow him. I was very happy to go behind the strange aeroplane like an obedient child. So that the co-plane which was flying up there in that stormy night, in that cloudy night, extended a helping hand to him, and he was left with no option other than to follow him. So he said that when that pilot of that black aeroplane showed his hand to him and has asked him to follow him, he was left with no other option. He just followed him like an obedient child. Why he followed? Because he was left with no option. None of the instrument was working properly. Neither even he have enough fuel. So he was left with no option. He could not see anything outside. There was dark all around, and therefore he followed the instruction of the co-plane, the pilot of co-plane which was flying up there in the sky. After half an hour, the strange black aeroplane was still there in front of me in the cloud. Now there was only enough fuel in the old Dakota's last tank to fly for 5 to 10 minutes more. I was starting to feel frightened again, but then he started to go down and I followed through the storm. So this pilot, the pilot of old Dakota, he followed that strange aeroplane which was up there in the sky, the black aeroplane. He followed that aeroplane like an obedient child for half an hour. And now he was left, he had no fuel, he was left with only that much fuel which will help him to fly for just 5 or 10 minutes. So he was frightened, he was fearful that it may be that his fuel is going to end, and therefore it may be that he may be in trouble, he will face an accident. But what happened then? Suddenly he saw that aeroplane which he was following started to go down. Then see what happened? Suddenly I came out of the cloud and saw 2 long straight lines of light in front of me. It was runway, an airport. I was safe. I turned to look for my friend in the black aeroplane, but the sky was empty. There was nothing there. The black aeroplane was gone. I could not see it anywhere. So now what happened? When he started to going down as the black aeroplane was going, he suddenly found that there was 2 long straight lines of light on airport. On the runway there used to be a light on the either side of the road, on the either side of the runway, as a signal to the pilot. So suddenly he saw that signal, that runway, the light which used to be there on the runway. He saw that and he became very happy. He was excited that now he is going to land safely, that he has seen runway, and he found that he was about to land, that it's a airport, and he found himself totally safe. Then what he did, he tried to look for friend, he tried to look for that black aeroplane which helped him out in the difficult situation, which has helped him to come out of that mountain like black cloud. But to his surprise, he saw that there was nothing, there was no aeroplane. He tried to look for it, but he could see it nowhere. There was no aeroplane. That black aeroplane suddenly disappeared. He could not see any aeroplane up there in the sky. I landed and was not sorry to walk away from the old Dakota near the control tower. I went and asked a woman in the control center where I was and who the other pilot was. I wanted to say thank you. So as soon as he landed, he went directly to the control room to ask that who was the other pilot who was flying up there in the sky, so that he may say thank you to that pilot, because that pilot has saved his life. If that pilot would not have reached at that point, at that time, he would definitely have lost in that cloud, and definitely he would not have been alive. He would have met an accident, and definitely he would have lost his life. Therefore, he went directly to the control room to find out that who was the other pilot, who was the pilot sitting in that black aeroplane, who has helped him out, who has helped him in that situation, and has helped him to come out of that black cloud, and has helped him to land safely in England. So now he is asking to the lady who was sitting in the control center. She looked at me strangely and then laughed. Another plane? Up there in this storm? No other aeroplanes was flying tonight. Yours was the only one I could see on radar. So when he asked about the another aeroplane to the woman who was sitting in the control center, that lady replied, that lady laughed at him, and she asked him in a surprise that what aeroplane you are asking it about? Which aeroplane? There was no any other aeroplane flying up there in the sky. Your aeroplane was the only aeroplane which was flying up there in this stormy night. Apart from your aeroplane, there was no other aeroplane flying up there in the sky. So now he was totally surprised, because he has seen that black aeroplane, he has seen that pilot also sitting in that aeroplane, even he has seen the pilot of the hand who was waving at him in order to help him out, and was asking him to follow him. So he was totally surprised. Then let's see what happened. So who helped me to arrive there safely without a compass or a radio, and without any more fuel in my tank? Who was the pilot on the strange black aeroplane flying in the storm without lights? So then, when he got a reply from that lady, he was totally surprised. He was surprised. He was lost in his thought that if there was no aeroplane, then what was that? Who was that in that black aeroplane who has waved hand to him, who has helped him out from that, who has helped him out to come out of that black cloud? Then he was lost in his thought. He was surprised that who helped him out to come out of that black cloud without a compass, without a radio, without fuel. He was totally taken aback. He was surprised. He was lost in the thought that who was there in the sky, in that cloud, who was there in that black aeroplane with no lights. This is all about this story. Now the question arises that actually who he was. Then it may be that it would have been a cloud only, because he said that that aeroplane was black in color, and at the same time he has said the pilot has said that even the cloud was black in color. So it may be that it was a cloud to which he has thought to be aeroplane, as there was no lights on the wings also. If it would have been a aeroplane, then definitely it would have got lights on the wings, and definitely it would have been found on the radar in the control room. So definitely it was a sort of miracle, or you can say that fortune favors the brave. Here also this pilot was helped, maybe he was helped by God, because it was miraculous incident where his life is saved, where he was able to land safely without any harm, without any compass, without radio, without none of the equipment working properly, and without fuel. So we can say that it was no other than the Almighty, who is always there to favor, to help in the distress to those who are brave. So this person, he took the challenge, he did not turn back, he accepted the challenge, and he thought that he will do it. So he took the first step, and the rest was left to God, and God finally helped him to come out of that difficult situation, out of that cloud. So it may be related to life. Black cloud here refers to difficulties, that we should never be afraid of any difficulties, of any challenges which may come in our life. We should just have enough courage to face it, to fight it, and the rest will be done by God. We should have faith in ourselves, and we should be ready to accept all the challenges which life may offer in our life. Thank you for watching this video.